Hello and welcome back to Beauty Bee and to a video that I've actually seen quite a few different YouTubers do, sort of all the things I've hit pan on. I know I've seen Chic Geek do them. I know I've seen a beauty guru made me do it, Paula do it. So that was a poor choice of words, but we'll just move on. Both of their channels will be linked below, of course, but the idea is just show what you've hit pan on. And in particular, I'm only going to be showing powder products, the items where you can hit literal pan. I'm not going to be showing lip products or really anything else, just powder. And let's start with the item that if you've been here before, you have almost certainly seen the pan in. This is the Tarte Harmony blush. This is one of their deluxe sample travel mini sizes. And you can see I have quite a bit of pan going in there, but yet somehow I also have quite a bit of the embossing left around the edges. I have actually finished one of these blushes before. It was in a different shade. It was in Harmony, which was a little bit darker and a little bit less pink than Harmony, and it took me 2.5 years. I didn't use it every day, but I used it most days for most of that period, and I occasionally used it on my eyes also. So I think I have a lot of time left with this, and I have mixed feelings about that. On the one hand, I do like to pan. I like to finish things. I like to know that I completely use something up, but on the other, this is a really good blush. I really like having it around. And I'm kind of glad to know that it'll be around for quite a while longer. I think that all the other powder pans that I have are eyeshadows, though some are eyeshadows that I use quite often on different parts of my face, and I will make sure to mention those as we go through. Let's start with this Maybelline City Mini palette. I actually have 2 of these little palettes, and I have hit pan in both of them. In this one, I have pan in this gold shade and this purple shade. For a very long time after I got this eyeshadow palette, I could not get these 2 shades to work. I could apply them and they would show up, looking beautiful, but I would get a ton of glitter fallout. Recently, I have learned that if you actually, follow the directions on the back, you can get these to apply pretty well. But, who wants to follow directions, right? So my go-to look for probably the first 2 years of owning this palette was to use this shade in the crease, this shade all over the lid, sometimes this shade under the brow bone. I have kind of gone back and forth over the years on whether or not a brow bone highlight is my thing. Right now it is. So pretty major pan actually in these 2 shades. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, especially in this gold, but oh, there it is. Good size pan in both of them, and there's actually quite a dip in the white, and for some reason the dip in this gray shade is showing up really well too. It is not actually as impressive as it looks on camera though, unfortunately for my pan loving self. Now let's move on to the second of the Maybelline City Mini palettes. And I actually have even more pan in this one. This is the Matte About Town. I don't remember if I said the name of this one. This is Chill Brunch Neutrals. I'll also list products in the description box because I undoubtedly will forget to name things or call them by the wrong name at some point. So we'll just give myself that insurance down there. And in this I have 3 pans. This is super neutral, super matte, super easy to wear, and I'm actually quite close to hitting pan both on this pink shade and on this white. I was kind of putting off doing this video until I hit pan in this white and a couple of other things, but then I just decided that time to do it. I can film an update in a few months with hopefully, 4 or 5 new pans. That would be great. But I am actually looking to finish up this shade. I want to repress some of my Wet n Wild quads into empty shades, and I think this is going to be the first one to go. Then this one. I'm literally looking forward to it. I think the resulting palette is going to be very pretty. And I think this will make a great little travel palette once I have put a shimmer where this used to be. Okay, so speaking of those Wet n Wild quads, this is the Petalette quad. The reason I want to eventually not even depot, but remove all of these shades from their pans and repress into other palettes is that the lids on these Wet n Wild palettes eventually pop off. They have pretty dinky little hinges that tend to break, and then you just have a lid at the bottom, and they're somewhat free floating. Now I've hit pan in 2 shades in here. I'm hit pan on this matte transition shade, which I quite often will use as a blush. I was a little bit surprised when I put it on the first time. I thought it was going to look very purple on my cheeks, but it actually looked very rosy, very healthy, but it had this little bit of depth of plumminess to it that I think was really interesting and really lovely. So I've been using that quite a bit. I will also occasionally use this white as a cheekbone highlight, and sometimes I'll even drag across my brush across this pink as well. I will say that I don't think the pan on this white is entirely due to actual use. Both of these shades tend to get quite a bit of hard pan. Now, I do use my fingers generally when I apply shimmer shades and sometimes matte shades as well. So I guess I'm not surprised that I deal with some hard pan, but these two are definitely the worst offenders in my collection. They hard pan so quickly and so easily, so I will occasionally have to just scratch off the top layer, and I think that some combination of use and scratching off led to this little pan. It has also led me to, I don't think, be particularly close to pan, but have used up a lot more of this pink than I would have otherwise. And yeah, I think that a mixture of these 2 shades, let me just swatch that. You see that really reflective pink? That is the shade that I want to put into that Maybelline City Mini palette that I was showing earlier. I think it's beautiful. All right, one more Wet n Wild palette. This is the Rosé in the Air, or as we refer to it on this channel, the Contemporary Baroque. I have hit pan in 3 different shades in this palette. This shade I will use both in the transition area, which is what it's labeled for, as well as in my eyebrows. It is not what I'm wearing today. It is a little bit more reddish than what I have in my brows today, which I think is actually a really good match for me. I think that it matches my hair a little bit better than my brow powder, which we'll actually be talking about in just a second. I've hit pan in this white, which I use just under the brow and occasionally to lighten up a shimmery shade that I want to put in the inner corner. And this gold. I think that the way I've used most of this gold is probably over the lid. However, in the last 2 months or so, the way I've used it most often is in the inner corner, which is how I have it today by itself, or mixed with this white to put in the inner corner. So it's my inner corner shade at the moment. I am also fairly close to hitting pan on this purple shade. I don't really have a good sense for how close I am, but there's a definite dip, and I feel like the dip was not much larger in these 2 pans before I hit silver at the bottom. Now this one looks like a murder scene. This is the NYX Avant Pop palette in shade Nouveau Chic. You can probably tell, have actually repressed things into these pans. This shade is a mixture of the original shades that were in both of these pans. I hit major pan in both of them to the point where I couldn't really get a brush in, or at least the kinds of brushes that I would like to use. So I mixed them and repressed to make this peachy pink with a little bit of shimmer to it. I have quite a bit of pan in this sort of off-white, light yellow as well. And I am actually quite close, I think, to hitting pan in these two shades, which I think is really impressive. These pans are huge. It took me ages to hit pan in both of these, and I think this is my oldest eyeshadow. I think I've had this for right about 4 years at this point, and it's still really nice quality. I still love it, and I think that it was a mistake on NYX's part to discontinue this item. This is probably, I think, one of the prettiest color stories out there. All right, so that was the last of the actual pans, or more correctly, the last of the actual baby pans that I have to show you. I also have 3 items that went in the I kind of want to hit pan on this before I filmed this video, but it didn't happen and I decided to film anyway. So let's consider this a likely sneak peek for what will probably be in the next What I've Hit Pan On video, or maybe I have a more creative title. I hope I do. All right, we've got my ColourPop Super Shock in Lady Bird. Now it doesn't look like I've used a whole lot of this, but I know from experience that the ColourPop pans have a raised bit in the center that you can hit quite quickly. Honestly, if I really was trying actively to hit pan, if I was one of those people who just likes to dig their finger, I could probably hit pan right now just by pushing and swiping. But I want to get like real used it pan, and I am slowly but surely working my way towards that. I mean, I think you can see the dip I've made right in the center. I don't think it'll be too long. Next time. Now I've got this Wet n Wild Color Icon blush. Come on, open. This has the same hinges as those palettes do, so I want to be fairly gentle with it. This is in the shade Rosé Champagne, and I think you can tell that I can see all of the little ridges in the pan. And honestly, when I put my finger over it, I can feel the ridges in the pan. I must be really close to hitting pan on this, even if it's just exposing one of the ridges. Every time that I use this blush, I think it's going to be the day where I hit pan, but it hasn't happened yet. And then finally, the thing that I really, really thought I was going to hit pan on before I filmed this video is my Brow Pow from The Balm. This is in the shade Blonde. By the way, if you've never seen the packaging on this, I love it. I love the little superhero character that they have. She's adorable. Okay, and here is my powder. I didn't realize just how much muscle memory went into me doing my brows until this single like slit started to appear in my brow powder. But apparently I just reach for the same spot in the powder every time. But somehow I have not hit pan. I think this is pretty deep. I also think I'm probably very, very close, but not yet. No dice. That's it. That's my tour to pans. I would love to hear about anything that you've hit pan on recently. Do you have any of these products? Do you like them? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I really hope I will see you next time. Bye.